All right, welcome. Today, we're going to uncork the secrets behind some of the world's greatest spirits. Think of this as a spirited world tour, designed to demystify exactly what's in your glass. So let's just dive right in.
I mean, seriously, have you ever thought about it? They can both look kind of similar, right? A brownish liquid in a glass. But one comes from grapes, the other from grain. One can be all smooth and fruity, while the other might be smoky and super intense. The answer to what separates them is this fascinating journey of history, chemistry, and, a whole lot of culture.
The one secret that unites every single spirit, from cognac to whiskey and absolutely everything in between, it all lies in one foundational, you might even say magical process. And that process is distillation.
So the idea here is actually pretty simple chemistry. See, alcohol boils at a lower temperature than water does. So when you gently heat a fermented liquid, something like wine or beer, the alcohol turns into vapor first. You capture that vapor, you cool it back down, and voila! You get a much more concentrated, much more potent liquid, and that is a spirit.
Okay, first stop on our journey, France. This is a country that has absolutely perfected the art of turning wine into, well, liquid gold. We're talking about brandy, and specifically, we're going to look at two very famous cousins, Cognac and Armagnac.
Now, here's the most important thing to remember. Not all brandy is cognac. To earn that really prestigious name, it has to come from the legally defined cognac region in France. No exceptions. It's also made from specific white grapes, mostly one called Ugni Blanc, which creates this really acidic, low-alcohol wine that just happens to be perfect for distilling.
And this is where you really see how meticulous cognac making is. They don't just distill it once. After that first run, you get this cloudy spirit called Brouilly, which is about 30% alcohol. But then, they distill that again. And in this second round, they actually get rid of the beginning and the end of the run, the head and the tails, and they keep only the absolute purest center cut, the core, which means the heart.
So after distillation, this crystal clear spirit goes into French oak barrels to mature. And this is where all the magic happens. It's where it gets its color and so much of its amazing flavor. But over the years, a tiny amount, about 2% every year, evaporates right through the wood. This loss is known as the angel share, which is just a beautiful, poetic term for a totally natural part of the process.
Okay, so you're in a store, you're looking at a bottle of cognac and you see these letters. What on earth do they mean? Well, it's all about age, and the letters refer to the youngest brandy that's in that blend. A VS, for example, has brandy that's at least 2 years old, while an XO jumps way up to a minimum of 10 years. It's basically a handy little guide to what's inside the bottle.
Now, if you travel just a little south of cognac, you'll find its older, more rustic cousin, Armagnac. The single biggest difference here is the still they use. Cognac uses a simple pot still and distills twice, which gives it that polished, smooth profile. Armagnac, on the other hand, usually uses a column still for one single continuous distillation. This process is a little less refining, so it keeps more of the original character, and you end up with a more robust, intense spirit.
All right, let's hop across the Atlantic. We're heading to the coastal valleys of Peru, which is home to a great brandy that has some of the absolute strictest production laws you will find anywhere on the planet. And we are talking about Pisco.
Now this is what makes Peruvian Pisco so unbelievably unique. It is literally purity by law. After it's distilled, nothing can be added to change it. No sugar, no coloring, and, get this, not even a single drop of water. The spirit has to be distilled to the exact proof that it will be bottled at. It's pretty wild.
Oh, and the rules don't stop there. Pisco is only distilled once, and notice this aging rule: no wood allowed. At all. It just rests in these inert containers, like glass or stainless steel, which perfectly preserves the pure, bright character of the grapes. The result? A completely transparent, totally unadulterated spirit.
From South America, let's head over to Italy, where we find a spirit that was basically born from the philosophy of waste not, want not. We're talking about grappa, a spirit made from, believe it or not, the leftovers of winemaking.
This right here is the raw material for grappa. It's called pomace. So after a winemaker has pressed all the juice out of the grapes to make wine, this solid mass of skins and seeds is left behind. But instead of just tossing it, Italian distillers add some water and distill it to extract one last treasure. And that creates this wonderfully fragrant and, yeah, often pretty potent spirit. It's basically the ultimate in upcycling.
All right, we spent a lot of time with grapes. Now let's completely switch our base ingredient to grain. And for that, we have to head to the misty hills of Scotland to explore its liquid gold, Scotch whiskey. You know, the process for making single malt Scotch is kind of like a 5-act play. It starts with malting the barley, which basically tricks the grain into thinking it's time to sprout, and that converts starches into sugars. Then that sugary liquid gets fermented into a kind of beer, then it's distilled twice, a lot like cognac, and finally it has to be aged in oak casks in Scotland for at least 3 years before it can legally be called Scotch.
So, have you ever wondered where that really distinctive, smoky, medicinal, almost campfire-like flavor in some scotches comes from? Well, it comes from peat. Peat is basically decomposed vegetation that's been compressed in bogs for centuries. When it's used as fuel to dry the malted barley, that heavy smoke infuses the grain, and that flavor carries all the way through into the final spirit.
So from the vineyards of France all the way to the peat bogs of Scotland, we've seen how different ingredients and different methods create these wildly different spirits. So let's tie this all together.
When it comes down to it, a spirit isn't just alcohol. It's liquid geography. It's history in a bottle. Cognac tastes like the chalky soil of its region and its strict, centuries-old rules. Pisco is the pure expression of the Peruvian coast, protected by law. And Scotch? Well, that's the very essence of Scotland's barley, its water, and of course, its peat smoke.
Every single glass really does tell a story of a place, a raw material, and a set of human traditions. So the next time you pour yourself a drink, just take a moment. Look at what's in your glass and ask yourself, what journey did this take to get to me?
Cheers.